Hello, I'm Cat, and did you know that hundreds of hours have been spent working on Minecraft features that have never made their way into the default game? Most of these features obviously have been left on the cutting room floor, but some of these do exist in the game files, and although you can't access them in the vanilla Minecraft game, you can look at them if you scan these files, and you can see the weirdest things, ranging from simple things like the absorption potion to much more interesting things like the mineshaft explorer map, the zombie horse jockey, and the wither skeleton archer. In fact, there are so many of these unused features that today I'm sharing 51 of them with you, and so let's jump straight into it, starting with the sounds. And because for these, the only trace we have of these features was the game's sound, it's really interesting to think about what they were even going for that could have required this, for instance, the wolf howl. I mean, let's be real, the only time you usually hear wolves howling like that is when they're about to attack. I associate with werewolves or something like that. Were they intending to have these like super loud wolf events to scare you away from the forest? I think the idea of having a wolf that isn't just this friendly doggo, but is instead something terrifying, that we all know when you attack a dog by accident, I think that could have been something interesting, but obviously it's unused, and so maybe they had some other grand plans, just like this ghast noise. So this one is called ghast.scream in the game files, and the interesting thing about it is ghasts already have two screams, one for when they fire a fireball at you, and one for when you kill them, hopefully with that same fireball, and so why would they need a third scream? It's possible this was going to be one of those two existing ones, or it's possible they were going to have some third scream for some other menacing behavior. It's possible they wanted to make the ghasts even more terrifying, and maybe it's a good idea that they didn't use that in the end. So the next one here is really interesting because it's called player.breath, and I'll play it for you. And first of all, I'd like to say that doesn't sound like breath, right? Can we all agree that that is not what breathing sounds like? But second of all, it's interesting because there was going to be some event that maybe made you need to breathe. I think a good example could have been when you heal up, because having some, audio indication of that might be great. But yeah, I think it's a very weird thing. It's unused. We don't know why breathing in Minecraft was ever going to be a thing, but we might be able to tell why bat.loop was. Because obviously, bats fly around from cave to cave, and having a little noise for that could have been great. Obviously, the current bats are pretty docile and don't really need this, but they were clearly working on some better bat behavior, and then they realized, you know what, Minecraft doesn't have enough useless mobs, why don't we start adding them? And that's a decision they never looked back from. 1.4 on the bat was truly one of the first useless mobs, and they've never stopped doing it since then, so I'm glad they didn't make the bat useful, because then that wouldn't have been true. So the next sound here is just one that is hard to explain by the namespace ID by itself. It's called silverfish.step. And yeah, needless to say, I don't like any of those sounds. We also have endermite.step. So obviously they were intending to do something with that, and they never did quite either there. And then finally, we have zombie.attack iron_door. And so that's very bizarre, right? But I think it's pretty self-explanatory. At some point, zombies were going to be able to attack iron doors. I don't assume they would have been able to break them down, but maybe that was the intention too. Maybe on hard difficulty, they could break down even iron doors, but again, we'll never know because it is as such unused. And so those 7 unused sounds are pretty interesting by themselves, but just realize it wasn't just sounds for existing mobs that didn't make it into the game. Minecraft is also filled with a ton of unused mobs, the most famous of which might be the giant. And you know what? I need to, a little pet peeve here. It's called the giant, but it's really the giant zombie, right? So this is 6 times the height of a regular zombie, and it's still technically existing in Java. You can spawn into the game, but you can't spawn in Bedrock, despite Bedrock then having a loot table for them. They're one of those features that existed since the very early days of Minecraft, and I guess because so many custom apps use them, they can't remove it now. There's no intention to add the giant in future, and I think probably for the best, right? I think it's a good example though of like, you know what? The giant is terrifying. Having mobs with scaling abilities, letting them be slightly bigger sometimes, could really freak people out. Just like armed zombie villagers are something that can freak people out. So you might be thinking, wait, don't armed zombies exist? Yes, armed zombies exist. You can have zombies spawning with armor. It's a little bit more terrifying, but you can't have zombie villagers spawning with armor. I assume so you can always see their face. I'm not too sure, but the armed zombie villager does exist in the game files, just like the wither skeleton archer. This is such a weird one, right? The wither skeleton is one of Minecraft's most imposing mobs, and the idea of having them spawn with bows is something that terrifies me a lot. This is even made made more terrifying by the fact that they would have had flame arrows, and I assume this has been put on hold because obviously now we have regular skeletons in the Nether. That's one of my least favorite things about Nether fortresses now. But yeah, I guess at some point they were going to have the 20% chance of them actually being just wither skeleton archers, which sounds like so much to deal with, and also another way to get lit on fire in the Nether, which we all know we need more of. Also, this next one is another like weird niche you can technically do if you want to, because wither spider jockeys are something you can do in creative, because in Minecraft, when you spawn in a spider, it has a 1% chance of spawning with a skeleton on it, and if you're in the Nether, any skeleton that spawns has an 80% chance of being a wither skeleton, meaning if you use spider spawn eggs in the Nether, you get the wither skeleton jockey. And honestly, it's one of those crazy things that actually I think would be a cool addition to the game, but again, you might not know about it. It exists on all versions of Minecraft, even console edition. Also, the zombie horse, another weird one. Honestly, the skeleton horse getting used finally in 1.9 made me think the zombie horse was just around the corner. But 1.9 came out in 2014, if I'm not mistaken, and 7 years later, we still have no idea what the zombie horse was ever intended to be used for, or what it ever will be used for. It has no survival use, it's just a horse you pick up. I would love to see this be rare in the world, and maybe you could cure it to get it back to a regular horse, and the regular horse would be thankful, just like with villagers. I don't know how that works, but I think it's a great idea. Also, the zombie horse jockey exists technically in the game files. You can have a zombie horse which spawns with a baby zombie, or a baby husk zombie, or even rarer, a baby zombie villager on there. But again, the spawning mechanics don't work because zombie horses don't spawn naturally in Minecraft, just like the baby trading llama. So obviously, when a wandering trader spawns in, he has 2 wandering trader llamas. I don't know why they're separate mobs to regular llamas, but they are, and because they're separate mobs, they can't be bred, and so the baby trading llama exists in the game code, and if you can convince them to breed, they will, but right now it's just a useless thing, but it's a very cute useless thing, right? Baby llamas are one of the cutest baby mobs in the game. I'm surprised, given all the cashing in Minecraft's done, they don't do more merch for that. Speaking of things that they shouldn't do more merch for, the Elder Guardian ghost is the weirdest thing, because it looks like the Elder Guardian, but it will automatically kill itself by floating up when spawned in the air until it despawns, or down through blocks when spawned in water, suffocating or falling into the void. I don't understand the Elder Guardian ghost, but it's a thing you can use with the summon command if you really want to have a weird thing. And to move on from that, let's have something cute that Minecraft doesn't have. And again, every single other feature on this list, you can be like, oh, they don't have a balance reason for it. Explain to me why this cat texture exists in the game, but not in the natural game. The grey tabby cat is a cute cat. Honestly, this is the cutest Minecraft cat. Tell me I'm wrong, and I'll tell you how you're so wrong. It's super, super adorable, and for some reason it doesn't exist. And unlike all of these other things, you can't argue, oh yeah, there's game balance. What's the game balance concern for not having grey tabby cats? I don't get it. But what I do get is the next feature on the list. So we've gone through sounds, we've gone through mobs. How about the elemental paintings? Did you know there are 4 paintings inside the game files? There is fire, earth, wind, and water. You might be able to guess that those are the 4 elements. Wow, what a cool idea. But they don't exist in regular Minecraft for whatever reason. Spectator mode is an example of one of these that is so interesting because obviously in Java, spectator mode exists. And we shouldn't even be having to talk about this as an unused feature. But the weirdest thing is that they haven't added spectator mode to Bedrock, except you can still access it using third-party save editors. If you edit your world save to be in game mode 4, spectator mode exists fully in Bedrock. I assume they use it for developing the game, but it's not available to the end user. Just like, did you know, I'm sure you do know, there are ways to find maps that will point you towards the nearest woodland mansion or ocean monument. They are super cool, and those are the only 2 locator maps in the game, except, you're wrong. Did you know there were meant to be explorer maps to help you find the nearest village? It's called a village explorer map. A temple explorer map to help you find the nearest jungle temple, desert temple, igloo, or swamp hut. Fun fact about Minecraft, swamp huts are actually a type of temple. They're the swamp temple. I mean, if we really push the definition of temple and we ignore the kind of monument aspect of it, if you think about it, it's like a temple to potion brewing or something like that. You know, it's terrible. It's one of those weird holdovers from early Minecraft where everything's spaghetti code. Speaking of spaghetti code, the Mineshaft Explorer map would have looked like spaghetti. and it would have been using code probably. And the Mineshaft Explorer map is something that sounds great on the surface, a way to explore the abandoned mineshaft, but then you think about it, and first of all, how would you display a 3D map in Minecraft? And second of all, mineshafts don't have many great things you need to find in them. I guess, in reality, it would have been a way to point to the nearest abandoned mineshaft, which makes even less sense. But the problem is having maps for underground is always going to be tricky. I'd like to see them try it, but as of yet they have not, and that is part of the reason why we also don't have the Stronghold Explorer map. That's part of why we don't have the Fortress Explorer map, and part of why we don't have all of these other maps. There's an Ocean Ruins one, a Shipwreck one, a Pillager Outpost one, an End City one. Basically, whenever they add a structure, they add an Explorer map, or rather, they fill in the data that allows the Explorer map to exist for any type of structure. It's a very interesting, weird thing. Just like potions. Did you know every single time an effect is added to Minecraft, there is a potion for it that you can access in the game files. And so, if they add a brand new effect to the next update, but it's deliberately not in potion form, you'll be able to get it in potion form via the game file. So, we can't take too much from these. However, in some, because there are potions of haste, obviously it's unused because you get haste from a beacon. There are potions of levitation, obviously unused because you get that effect from a shulker. There's the potion of health boost, absorption, and resistance. You can work out the same for those too. But then there's 3 other secret potion effects that are super weird: the potion of dullness, the potion of confusion, and the potion of blindness. The interesting thing here is the potion of blindness will actually work. It limits your render distance to some insanely short one, like 3 or 4 blocks, and it makes it next to impossible to see. You can access this effect in creative, even though it has no use in the game. Same thing with dullness, which does nothing, and confusion, which does even less. They clearly had more plans for negative debuffs in Minecraft that never really went anywhere, and blindness is the one that interests me so much because I don't know why this has never been accessible. Even, we have the potion of luck, which is one of the dumbest potions in Minecraft, but we don't have the potion of blindness in the creative inventory, and it feels like one of those weird decisions. Also, all of these 8 potions I've just mentioned are available as tipped arrows, in addition to these 5 next tipped arrows, which you'll work out why they're only tipped arrows, because there's an arrow of water, an arrow of mundane, an arrow of long mundane, an arrow of thick, which sounds like an innuendo, but surely it's not. And then finally, there is the arrow of awkward, which is me at pretty much any social event. I mean, what do you do with your hands? Can someone tell me? What are you meant to do with them? Do you cross them? No, that's weird. Do you put them at your sides? No, that's weird. I've been shot with so many arrows of awkward in my life, I can't even tell you what it's like to be the opposite of that. And that is why I'm going to be awkwardly transitioning into the last couple of features. You might have noticed we only got to 49. Wow, Toy Cat, you clickbaited me, and this is terrible. Okay, sure, I'll give you 2 more here. Did you know there is a chiseled purpur block, unused for some reason, as well as a smooth purpur block, which you might notice looking at, they look exactly the same as each other, as well as the regular purpur block. So these are placeholder textures, presumably just using the regular purpur file. At some point, they plan to chisel them into smoothing them over. I'm guessing, though, because it's this weird, almost alien material, it comes from the end, they didn't actually want you to, and so they decided on that. I think it's a weird decision, but I guess that's how it is. And now you've officially seen 51 unused Minecraft features. It was a fun ride, it was a wild ride, and I hope you enjoyed the ride, because we have to get off right now. Remember, 99%, more than 99% of house fires happen to people who aren't subscribed to the channel. That's all I leave these videos with. It's a vague threat, but you know what isn't a vague threat? Saying, I hope you have a nice day, and I'll see you all next time if you don't die in a house fire. Goodbye.